Thanks for listening to the AZ12 podcast. I'm your host, Mike Luke, joined by William Brett Alice, Ben One White. Already 181 lives in here on a Tuesday night at, what time is it right now? 11:20. I appreciate you all. Okay, we've got a lot to get to this show. By the way, ads start tomorrow, but we have let's talk about it first. A win is a win is a win is a win is a win. That's what I'm going to keep coming back to. We're going to talk about some of the critical parts. But, Brad, this team's now 5-0 on the season, and I think before the season that you would, if somebody said, is this team going to be 5-0 in Big 12 play, you'd probably wonder about it a little bit. So, either way, we got to look at the good first, and there's a lot of good to take away.
Yeah, I mean, it's about a bad 4 minutes of this game. Otherwise, Arizona completely dominant. You're 5-0 in Big 12. I don't think we would have thought that preseason, and certainly not about a month ago when we were one of Arizona's making the tournament. I think, our thoughts.
We don't have to worry about that anymore.
No, I mean, Arizona's now back playing for seeding. They were really good until they weren't. And it was, I think, more of Baylor turning it up their intensity. Baylor looked like they didn't want to be there, like it was a late game on a long road trip. But otherwise, Arizona played pretty well. They took care of the ball for most of it. And somehow a month ago, Henry Vassar decided he wanted to be very good at basketball.
Well, not very good, an MNBA great prospect.
Yeah, so, the 1-3-1 gave him a little bit of trouble, but a win's a win. Arizona's now undefeated and remains undefeated and has, again, gotten themselves off the bubble.
Ben?
Arizona's 5-0 in the Big 12. They won today by double digits despite a 5-minute hiccup there in the second half. And I think if you told fans, a week ago that you'd be where you are, given all the struggles, all the questions, and all the early season losses, it's a pretty big accomplishment to be where they are right now. I get it's early on in conference play, but you're 5-0. You outmatched a Baylor team that was physical. You worried about some of the matchups in this game, but I think the coaching was really, really good tonight. I think Tommy Lloyd put together a great game plan. They were able to get a number of different guys on Baylor in foul trouble. 5 players on Baylor finished with 4 fouls. Obviously, the most notable one early on in the game is being Omer. They're big, and at that point, Arizona just had it easy with its guards. It was able to get to the lane, drive, get easy points, and really build upon that lead. And not only that, it seemed like when Baylor, went man defensively there early on, even though I think some of the shots were contested well on their end, there were just guys on Arizona that couldn't miss from 3. I mean, think about what ADO did, especially early on in that game. Think about what some of these other guys did, shooting deep from the perimeter, spacing the floor, getting good looks. Arizona was up 22 at one point. So Start to finish, it's really impressive, a really good spot to be, and we should be thankful we are where we are.
All right, now let's see here. Irish Mike, yes, we will talk about Tia Savea coming home, but now 350 lives already. Now let's talk about some of the other good things. Scott Drew just said that Henry Vassar is an MNBA pro. That does seem he can do a lot of things in this day and age that I think you really like. He can block shots. He can run the court. He can shoot the 3. He's aggressive. I mean, he doesn't necessarily have the girth, the strength that some other people have. But, William, I mean, he plays with a ferocity, with a toughness that I didn't know that he had. This is awesome.
No, I mean, he's a smart player. I mean, I mentioned again, he did it again where he doesn't take that extra dribble.
Yes.
He goes right up with it. There was one where I think he actually had the shot blocked and grabbed it in the air and put it right back. I mean, that's something you don't see. That's instinctual. He still needs some time in the weight room. He still needs, he's going to get that grown man strength. And when he does, that probably does make him a legit NBA guy. If he goes now, he gets pushed around. But he's athletic enough. He's long. He's a legit 7'1", but doesn't play like a plotter.
Right.
He's athletic enough. And
he's not a goon.
And if he was, 17 and still stashed in Latvia, he'd be a lottery pick. But he exposed himself to the American game, and that sometimes hurts these guys. But he certainly put himself in this is something that I don't think any of us could project. And if you did, you would have thought we were crazy. I think I
You know what it'd be like, Brad? It would be equivalent to predicting 2 years ago that Deion Sanders would be the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys.
that's less crazy than I think Henry Vassar as NBA prospect even 6 weeks ago.
Ben One White.
He's remarkable.
He is. He's remarkable. That's the best way of putting it. He's remarkable.
I don't know what else to say. I mean, nobody saw it. We all laughed about it. We all kind of rolled our eyes about it to a large extent. And Tommy Lloyd kept saying, "I'm telling you guys, this kid's got an opportunity. I can't say quite exactly what it's going to look like or what he's going to do, but he can play, and the guy can play." The Krivas injury is tough, but in a way, it's been, I think, a blessing in disguise for this team, because when he's out there, it just opens things. It just opens things up for Arizona on both ends of the court that you just don't have with Krivas.
And let's be honest, man. This dude's better than Krivas. Now, again, Krivas I think could be, but Krivas wasn't going to be able to do this. I mean, the way that Henry moves, the way that Henry blocks shots, all of that has just been very, very impressive. Yes, David Rosen, I do believe he's going to be in the MNBA. Okay, now. Let's see here. I love ADO. I am a big ADO fan. I think Brad. I think that he catches a lot of criticism from people that I just think don't want to like him.
I don't know who ADO is. You mean ADLR? Anthony Dell'Orso?
Referring to what Jay Williams was calling him.
Oh, gosh, what a gas bag that was. How do you watch this game and be like Anthony Dell'Orso and you turned him into some kind of a Latin American middle reliever? I mean, come on, man.
Yeah, I thought. I was getting ready for to wonder if the changeup was going to be hitting tonight. No, look, ADO's playing well. He was vital in the run in the first half, going 3 for 3 from behind the arc. He even had a heat check 3 that I did not mind at all at that point.
Oh, I love that one too. I was cool with that.
A minute later, Townsend took the same one. I'm like, no, you're not allowed to do that. You go 2 for 2, you can do that. I think he's good. He's important. And then what I kind of like is he doesn't have to keep shooting. I think he finished off 3 for 6, 3 for 7. He didn't have it, so he didn't necessarily keep pressing. And they were able to turn the offense over to Vassar. KJ Lewis had a really nice stretch there. Bradley was good enough. So he's smart enough, because some guys, they're hot early. They're just going to keep shooting. And if they're not hot early, they're going to keep shooting. He's not that guy. He has a little bit better feel for the game. And again, when you're surrounded with talented players, it's easier to do that than if you're the guy who has to do it at Campbell or, Caleb Love. There's been games he's had to just keep shooting. He didn't need to do that tonight.
All right. Well, we are going to talk about Caleb Love here in a minute. Also, I got to give the Twins some credit here. They were both effective. Listen, Trey Townsend, I thought that was one of his better games this season. Now you could say, I mean, how many points did Trey Townsend have? 11 points?
He had 8 and 4.
All right. 8 and 4. Well, that probably is one of his better games this season.
Was an impactful 8 and 4 though.
Yeah, you know what? I didn't hate what I saw, and I thought the Twins were more than good enough. What did the Twins combine for?
They combined for 17 and 6.
Okay, the Twins combined for 17 and 6. I'm fine with that. What did you think about the Twins?
I'm going to go here, Mike Luke, and correct me if you disagree, but going back to the ADO thing, I thought what he did today from a shooting perspective was obviously great, but is it fair to say he was a okay or good defender tonight as well?
Yeah, maybe not so much in the second half, but he's trying, though.
Not in that second half stretch, but you could leave him out there in spots that I think that you just couldn't leave him out there in other games, and it really helped Arizona get in the flow of things. I
think people are trying to beat up ADO just because they want to beat up ADO at this point. Brad, we will not allow this on this show. Will not happen.
You're going. I'm legit here. You got to. Are the Twins Awaka and Townsend?
Yes, they're the Twins, the Edgerson Twins.
Because they're actually, according to Stat Broadcast, their numbers are better, 16 and 9.
Oh, I left out the rebounds. You're right, Brad.
Yeah, so I got 16 and 9, which is
16 and 9 combined from the Twins.
Yeah, and you combine that with Vassar's game, I'll take that from the post all day long. Is it fantastic? No, I thought Townsend was really bad in stretches, and
yes,
kind of during that run, he was not good.
Right.
And they kept actually switching him defense, offense with Vassar for a while. I don't need to see him in crunch time.
Yes, that's a good way of putting it. I don't need to see him in crunch time.
No. I want to
yes.
see him for the first 32 minutes is fine.
Right. Yes, I don't need to. I don't. Yeah, I would agree with that. I don't see. I disagree. Brad Rich, Mike is the great Brad Rich. Mike is too critical of Trey's gritty. I don't think he's gritty at all. As a matter of fact,
I think that's the opposite of gritty.
I think it's the opposite of gritty. I think he just kind of loafs out there. I've got an amazing stat for you. The opposite of gritty. And I don't. Did he have any blocks or steals in this game?
Trey Townsend had
no blocks, no steals.
No.
Okay.
Nothing.
He's now played 16 games this season and has 2 blocks and 2 steals on the season. I've never seen that before. That is not gritty, Brad Rich. Not gritty, not gritty. All right. Now, somebody that we need to talk a little bit about, and again, Arizona's 5-0. Arizona's 5-0. I'm going to keep saying that 5-0. But at the same time, I think we also, and everybody hit the like button. Like. Caleb Love. This Caleb Love was bad. No other way to put it. Caleb Love was bad. Not only was Caleb Love bad, the other thing that I can deal with the missed shots, but the one play where he just let where he didn't get back and he just let the guy get back for a dunk. That's how Arizona lets teams back into games. I think. Well, I am enthused that Arizona's able to win games without Caleb Love at this point, but man, he was bad out there tonight, fellas.
I actually, though, I will say this: he had some stretches, especially in the first half, where the shot wasn't falling, but he did other things. He did hustle. Now, you're right, especially in second. He had that play where he fed Bradley for the dunk. He had the one where the ball slipped out of his hands on a layup attempt, but he ended up getting the steal going the other way. I mean, so he didn't check out, but he wasn't good. There was a few plays he checked out, yes, but I did think that he did hustle. He did play hard, especially in the first half when they're building up that lead. And I'm just happy to see that Arizona has shown the ability to win without him being great. And tonight, not even good, at least offensively. That I think is very important. But again, other guys stepping up. ADO stepping up for his stretch. Again, KJ Lewis had some really good stretches there. He had some bad stretches. Carter Bryant, overall, I thought this was a game that he might just kind of get beat up. And again, he had some bad moments, but that big corner 3, he had a big dunk. He had a couple nice defensive rebounds. Arizona was very good on the glass tonight, especially the defensive glass. So this, I think, is a very important game for Arizona in terms of not having to rely on Caleb Love.
Yeah. Bedwell White.
Yeah, and you don't love to see it in conference play and at this point in the season.
Get it?
Right. But at the same time, this offense has had to pivot away from him during these stretches. And to Brad's point, it's good to see that, they can do things without him being impactful offensively. Yeah, I mean, the shooting was not good. It was very streaky. He wasn't really able to get anything going. He had that 1-3, I think, that it was so bad it went in. I think that's how Cody put it in our group text. But outside of that, from a shooting perspective, it was tough. But he did block a shot. That first half, he did do what he needed to do defensively, and he was getting the ball to other guys, and maybe the shot didn't make a ton of sense for him or wasn't going in. But you would have liked to see that effort, I think, carry over to the second half. You can't, go through the motions defensively, because the problem is if you're Love and you set that tone and you have that mentality, the other guys are going to follow. And I think that's why you saw that stretch where Arizona tightened up the lead or gave up the lead once again, right, in a wider margin than we would have liked, up 27 at one point. We keep talking about that. But this team just needs to play its best for 40 minutes. And they haven't been able to do that. They've done it in good stretches, and it's really helped them the last 5 or 6 games. They're undefeated in conference play. That's all well and good. But we're almost there. There's that little thing missing, right, defensively, and I think this team can do it. They've shown in stretches. But again, it goes back to the fact that, somebody like Love doesn't have confidence. He's not going to give you effort. And then you look across the board at the other side of things. Arizona obviously doesn't have the best depth either from a guard perspective. So guys are going to be out there. They're playing heavy minutes. I mean, Jaden Bradley played 38 minutes today. Caleb Love played 31 minutes as well. So again, if either one of those guys are struggling on either end of the court, I'm not entirely sure what the answer is at that point. I mean, you can't really pull them for a Conrad Martinez. So Lloyd's got to figure out a way to balance that out. So while I do knock Love for his efforts defensively and obviously not being where he needed to be tonight from a scoring perspective, I do understand the wear on some of these guys because they're playing a lot of minutes out there.
Also, I think you could see. Well, sorry.
Go ahead.
I think you could see Bradley get tired during that run. Remember, he had the one, and again, that 1-3-1 is kind of tough to adjust to. He had that one play where he kind of drove, kind of realized he didn't have it, tried to kick it back out, but it got stolen. And again, that just looked kind of like a fatigue play where your body's tired, so the mind gets a little tired. I think they got to find ways to get Martinez in where he's really only on the floor for 30 seconds, but it gives Bradley a 5-minute break because of TV timeouts or things like that, where you bring him in at the 12:04 mark and he plays for a minute. Again, it's like what Arizona did with John Ash, with Jason Gardner, later with Jason Rainey, where the guy gets a minute and a half of total playing time. But
why can't you just put KJ at that position or something? Okay. I don't want to see.
And KJ was really good tonight. He had 7 assists, 1 turnover, and maybe that's the answer. But then KJ gets some added minutes. Again, I think you're trying to keep these guys fresh at key times. I think there's a way you can do it without a guy really logging more than a minute here, minute there. It doesn't have to be 4 minutes. It has to be 1 minute and a TV timeout.
All right, now, I like the people in this chat now. Have you noticed that they're coming up with Ben One White's initials? Multiple people in the chat calling him B1W. I love B1W. Wasn't that the name of, like, that Darkwing Duck? No, that was a D. Yeah, no, it was DWW or something like that, or DWD. I can't remember. All right, but B1W, very, very good. So Caleb Love obviously is something that you're going to have to figure out, but they're finding ways to win. KJ Lewis, though, this is what I was talking about, though, all season. When KJ Lewis is smart and plays within himself, he is a very effective player. He's a very good passer. He's a slippery passer. He is a clever passer. He can do a lot of different things. 7 assists. I think he had his 8 assist game, if I'm not mistaken, a couple games ago as well. I am a big fan of how this KJ Lewis is playing, fellas.
I'll get to KJ here in a minute, Michael, but shout out to Cody Martin, our producer. Who led the team tonight in plus minus tonight, Mike?
I don't know. Maybe ADO?
ADO plus 13.
I
know what I watched out there. I watched out there.
Yeah. Let's see here. Mike, I love your takes. You shouldn't love my takes. A lot of them suck. But it is funny that you said he stinks and will never play here. Low key, our best player. I hope you're talking about Henry and not Conrad. But either way, I will agree with that. That was a very bad point on my point. B1W, facial hair on point. Good job, Ben One White. Yes, that's true. This is true. All right, now, KJ Lewis, though. KJ Lewis is kind of that ultimate facilitator, or not a facilitator per se, but he's kind of a force multiplier type. I don't know what the term is, but I like having him out on the court when he's playing like this.
Well, I think he's finding his way offensively, and he's not forcing things, I think, like we saw earlier in the year. For the most part, he had a pretty good matchup advantage today. He was able to get to the rim and kind of space things out and get some easier shots. And that's big for him, right? Because that builds confidence once you're able to go out there and you know that you impact the game when it comes to scoring. I think with him, that helps him on the defensive end maybe play a little bit more, in the flow of things. You're not seeing the careless turnovers. You're not seeing the careless fouls. He works hard to get to the rim. He also works hard to, get those second chance opportunities. I mean, Arizona shot well there in that first half when they had the big lead. But I think the biggest thing that set them up and gave them the advantage in this game was offensive rebounds and second chance points. And when you've got somebody like Lewis out there, when you've got a Waka out there, Vassar out there crashing to the glass and, getting every opportunity they can, I mean, those are easy points. Think about how many points Arizona has left on the table, throughout most of the season, just giving up offensive boards. And when this team shoots well, even if Love's not having a good night, if you can control things down low and get your easy points there, it makes a huge impact in the result, and that's what you saw today.
That was a very nice dunk. People are mentioning, Michael Esser saying that was a very nice dunk by Jaden Bradley in that game, or by Jaden Bradley. Again, things when they get out in transition, nice. I like it.
I think the other thing about KJ Lewis is he didn't force things. He didn't take a three-pointer. Right. He got to the line. I think it was a perfect 7-7 from the line, which is actually kind of key because Arizona didn't shoot particularly well from the line. What, about 60-something%? So I think, yeah, you when Lewis is playing well, his feel for the game is excellent. When he's not playing well, he starts to press and he starts to get away from what works. And he takes a bad three, or he has that turnover, or he turns to the bench and picks up a taunting call. So he's weird that I think he has a good feel for the game. I don't always think he has a high basketball IQ, but today he did very well. And again, he was a major reason Arizona won this basketball game.
Yes. Now, B1W. Let's talk a little bit about that. Then going forward, then with this team, listen. I believe right now you're 5-0. I think worst case scenario you want to be 7-1 after these next. What are you? I'm trying to do the math in my head now. You got 8. All right, the next 3 games, worst case scenario, you want to be 2-1 in those games. You've got Texas Tech. That one's going to be hard. I get all of that. Then you've got Oklahoma State and you've got Colorado. Colorado sucks. Oklahoma State isn't very good. And so I need at least 2-1. If you're 3-0, then whop. You start talking about possibly winning the Big 12 because you'd be 8-0 at that point.
I think if you go 2-1, you're still talking about winning the Big 12. And I think you can lose at Texas Tech. The other two are ones you should win. Colorado, not very good. Oklahoma State, fine, up and down. Tech is a tough place to play. They're a pretty darn good basketball team. But, yeah, at this point, with getting that road sweep and now holding serve at home, Arizona's kind of got some bonus bucks to play around with. And but, yeah, if you go 2-1 during this stretch, beat the teams you are supposed to beat, you're in really good shape for that second half because, they're more than a quarter of the way through now league play.
Yep, Ben. And then I got another interesting point. Well, maybe not another interesting point. Maybe just a free-flowing interesting point. Go ahead.
Yeah, you never make interesting points. Come on.
I know that's right.
Let's be honest here.
Yes.
No, I think that's spot on. And we talk about all year. Splitting is going to be key, and you've got an advantage now that a lot of teams in this conference don't have. I mean, you're undefeated. You're in the driver's seat. You're right there, and you look up and down this conference. To me, there's really only, I think, 2 teams where you think Arizona has no shot: Iowa State and Houston. Outside of that, Mike, any of these other teams scare you? Not really.
No, I'm telling you, they can beat anybody. Now, listen, there's going to be certain games that I don't think they're going to beat Iowa State in Hilton Head or Hilton Coliseum, whatever it's called. Also, Houston they don't get Houston. I didn't know this. They don't get Houston on the road this year. Come back over here. Yes, exactly. Now they get Kansas, but Kansas to me is not a team that is necessarily. They're not. Unfathomable, unformidable. They're not as formidable as I thought they would be. They're good. But these are games that Arizona can win. Now, Miss Shelby K says Trey Townsend, the Tommy Gun says Trey L. Townsend was spectacular tonight, especially defensively. He's right. Not easy to hold O'Meara to 4 rebounds. Like I said, I was totally fine with the Twins today. I had no problem with it.
Yeah, I just think he still has some trouble on the offensive end.
Yes.
Some bad turnovers, some bad shot selection. No, he was very good defensively, and dare I say, maybe the closest to being gritty. He's not gritty. He's never going to be gritty. A walk is gritty.
Right.
KJ Lewis can be gritty at times. I would never use that to describe Trey Townsend, but no, he was pretty good tonight for him. Again, I've kind of written him off. So anytime I can get a good to solid game from him, I'm pleasantly surprised.
Take it. It's like playing with house money. It's like Ben One White going into the casino and saying, "Give me $100. I'm going to turn this into 1,000." You guys didn't like that.
Is that the
I thought
cue
it was good.
to toss it to me? I mean,
yeah,
I agree.
no, it's like Ben One White. Come into the casino, my friend. Come on in, Ben One White. BW1 or whatever it is.
I agree. Well, hey,
or
if you bet Arizona tonight, I mean, you made some good money, right? The line was what, 5.5? So
yeah, no, exactly. I mean, seriously. Now, one thing that does really bother me, and I don't know why they keep doing this, and somebody on Twitter made this point, and it was much smarter than me, and it was, Grant Winkler calling you B-Dub. I like it. B-Dub. Arizona must lead the world in turnovers where they try to throw the ball to the top of the key and then it is stolen and the other team goes right for a dunk. Stop doing that. That happens all the time. I don't understand why this happens so much. It happens all the time and it is infuriating. Stop doing that.
Yeah, I think a lot of that comes against zone. They kind of over penetrate, don't kind of get to the spot they want to get to, and then panic. And again, I think when Bradley did today, my guess is he was probably tired. It was kind of right before the TV timeout. It was during that run, which came from about the 7-minute mark to about the 4-minute mark, maybe the 5-minute mark. I think he was tired. He had logged, he logged 38 minutes tonight. But yeah, it's just, you have to know where guys are. You have to know that that's a dangerous pass.
Right. Ben?
Yeah, and in Baylor, I think they were switching things defensively and trying to figure out there what would work. They settled on that zone. I think they went 1-3-1 in stretches there in the first half. I was surprised they didn't do more of that. Looking back, they probably would have, given the challenges it gave Arizona. But yeah, I mean, you're fatigued at that point. You're Jaden Bradley. You've played, so many minutes at that point, and you got to be careful with that. But at the same time, I don't think that this team is trying that. If they're in a tighter game. Granted, we have seen instances, but I'd like to think the basketball IQ of this team has improved over the course of these last 5 wins.
405 to 20. Wow, very, very nice. Like you. All right, very, very nice. Okay, now looking forward and looking backwards then, a couple key things. Is this team, and I was thinking about this before, now that we know that ADO is a total spacer, a spacer extraordinaire, is this team maybe, and maybe this is me just being stupid, it could easily be that, but ADO, really good shooter. Henry Vassar, pretty decent shooter. Carter Bryant, pretty good shooter. Is this team maybe a little bit better than very nice, great success, Jonathan Wells, very nice, Borat.
Great movie.
Is this team maybe a little bit better shooting team than we thought? I'm just asking.
They gotta get, and I don't know if it's gonna happen, they gotta get Caleb Love righted. I can't remember the last really good shoot. I mean, we know he's a streak shooter. We know he's a guy who can just as easily go 7 of 10 as 1 for 10, but it sure feels like there's more 1 and 2 for 10 nights than there have been those good nights. Because if he's hitting from the outside, Arizona becomes an elite offensive team as opposed to
Arizona could beat anybody in the country if he's playing well. They can't.
Yeah. The good news is I don't think until this 6 or 7 now game win streak that we knew they could beat good teams without him, and they have. And unfortunately for Arizona, more often than not, he's not been very good. And I said to compete favorably in the Big 12, he had to play like a potential Big 12 Player of the Year type, at least all Big 12 performer, and he hasn't. And yet somehow Arizona finds themselves 6-0, 7. Well, yeah, but I think a part of the key is Henry Vassar's now playing like a at least honorable mention all Big 12 player. Jaden Bradley's playing at a high level. And then on any given night, another guy or two can step up. So if suddenly Caleb Love's your 5th or 6th best player, but other guys are performing at a high level, not that he's 6th best player and no one else is good, then Arizona's a pretty dangerous basketball team.
Everybody hit the like button, by the way. By the way, we're much closer to getting super snaps. We were approved by YouTube. There's some last thing or whatever. So, yes, we are getting much, much closer to super snaps. Everybody hit the like button, though. Like. We very much like that. Now, the one thing, though, that I will say is that last year against good teams is that Arizona couldn't beat good teams without Caleb Love playing well. And I'm going to keep coming back to this point because I think it's something important. When I say something important, I'm just going to keep saying it over and over again. But But when Arizona got into the Pac-12 last year, nobody was really good. And so it was just a bunch of Stanfords and a bunch of, just a bunch of poo teams that weren't any good.
They did lose to Stanford, though. They got their
asses
kicked by Stanford.
I know they lost to Stanford. But half of them, though, is because you're like playing like your blind stepbrother in one-on-one or something, and I don't know if that's a good comparison, but you're playing some guy that with like a compromised position or something, and you're like, all right, I'm not going to be able, or I don't have to really play against this guy, and then you realize you're down 11-0, and you're playing to 13. That to me is always what it was with Stanford. In all these games, you know that these teams can beat you, so that is at least good for me as well. But last year they couldn't beat. Last year, they could beat teams if Caleb Love wasn't playing well, and it showed that. Right now, they are defying the odds. B1W.
They are, and I've been the biggest person who's been surprised because I thought the way this team was built, what they lost, the way the roster was constructed, it was all based upon Caleb Love. And if Caleb Love had a bad game, if Caleb Love didn't even have a great game, right? If he wasn't putting up at least 18 plus, 20 plus, you thought at the time, man, Arizona's got no shot to win a lot of these games, but they've been able to turn it around. I think a lot of that is the effort on defense, the emergence of Henry Vassar. And I think what you're finding out is if Love's not necessarily hitting per se, well, I think it is important. And I think shooters get ultimately better and get themselves out of a shooting slump by continuing to shoot, right? And get that volume. This team has found a way to kind of move off of that and get other guys involved and get other guys going consistently. If Love's not hitting it, you've got ADO who can come in and hit some shots and build some momentum. Jaden Bradley has gotten better as a shooter. He's doing more in the fast break still, but that's his game, and that's totally okay. But Love can be tricky, right? Because he's not necessarily the most efficient player. Sample size will show us like he needs a lot of shots, right? I mean, he's a guy who needs to take 12, 15, 20 shots a game to get going. And while we did see in stretches last year, him hit 6 for 10, 7 for 10, like Brad was mentioning earlier, I think in the grand scheme of things, he's not a guy who's going to do that consistently. He's not that type of player. He's got to get shots going. And with him, early on if it's going to work. And if it's not going to work, fine. Arizona moves off of it. Not to say he's not involved or anything. You don't want to keep him, isolated from the offense or anything like that. It's not what I'm saying. But they've kind of had no choice. They've had to figure it out. There's a good way to look at it, right? Which is this team has surprised us, and what they've done in conference play with Love playing the way he has the last couple of weeks, that's great. But at the same time, if Caleb Love plays like this in the NCAA tournament, against a good team, Arizona's just not going to win that game. And I think that's what we have to go back to. I think they have to figure out a way to get him going, and that doesn't really change anything at this point.
See, I disagree. They're playing well against good teams without Caleb Love playing well. Maybe they've turned the corner on this one. Also,
I'm not disagreeing that. I'm just saying.
You just said they couldn't beat a good team in March if he doesn't play well.
Yeah, I think it's different.
You take those back. You rescind that comment, Ben.
They're not winning 6 in March unless he plays 4 good games.
Yes.
They're not,
yeah, that's fair enough.
Yeah.
All
so, one thing I think we have to comment is 3 players have somewhat to dramatically improved in the last month. Obviously, we talk a lot about Vassar.
Mm-hmm.
KJ Lewis is overall a better player than he was
much
December
better.
15th. And ADO, and whether his improvement or just finding that role, being in the starting lineup. We talked about how Pelle Larsson worked better coming off the bench. It looks like ADO might be just more comfortable.
ADO's a starter, man. ADO needs to be the center of attention. Also, can we now, people in the comment are making this, all the putzes that said that Tommy Lloyd's not the guy and that you need to get rid of him and all of this. Now listen, is Tommy Lloyd perfect? No, he's not. But guess what? I want Tommy Lloyd to be my coach here for the next 25 years. The people that don't like Tommy Lloyd, I do not understand. It is okay, and I've never understood this. It drives me up a wall. When people just say, you can criticize, there's certain things that Tommy Lloyd does that I still don't get. But guess what? He's a really, really darn good coach, and you should want him here. I do not understand why people do not understand this, fellas.
Well, I said we were going to learn a lot about Tommy Lloyd once league play started.
Oh, yeah, you did.
And I think we have. I mean,
Yes.
Arizona has made tweaks. They, again, 3 guys, and you might almost be ready to throw Carter Bryant into the mix, have improved. They've settled on roles. They've changed roles, and he's found a formula that works, so much so that he hasn't overcoached. It'd be real easy to say, oh, Vassar's playing so well, let's just insert him into the starting lineup. I think they found a feel for him coming off the bench and coming in and out of the lineup. There's always that stretch where I'm like, oh, you're taking him out now, but it seems to be working. So again, he still has a lot to prove in March, but he's also proved to me a lot since Arizona was one game under 500 or whatever they were, one game over 500. Arizona's on a 7-game win streak and have looked like a totally different basketball team.
Yes. Now, I will say this. Let's see here. Yes. It's asked right here. Who would be, Garrett says, Battle of New York point guards. Who is better, Momo or Jaden? I'll take Jaden every day of the week. I liked Momo, but Jaden's a winning basketball player. I don't know that Momo was.
Bigger question is Jaden Bradley the best Arizona point guard since
McConnell?
McConnell.
He is.
And you can make that argument, and I think, again,
he is.
You need a couple wins in March to solidify that. But at a school known for point guards, Arizona's been pretty absent of elite point guards. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't even know who you would put in that discussion. I think it's clearly him. Nico is a weenie. James Akinjo was okay.
I forgot he existed.
Yeah, so did I. Wow.
Yeah, Kirk Risa. Kylan Boswell, you know what I think of him?
Your favorite.
Jane Bradley. Yeah. I think Jane Bradley is clearly the best point guard since TJ.
No, and John Taylor makes a good point. He mentions Parker, Jackson Cartwright. It might be him other than, and that shows you, because, again, Parker was a fine player. Parker would not be a top 12 Lute Olson point guard.
No, yeah, Parker would have never started under Lute Olson, ever.
Except maybe over Nick Wise.
I'm bigger.
Do we even count him as a Lute point guard, or is he a...
I'm a bigger Nick Wise guy than you are. I disagree with you on Nick Wise. I like Nick Wise. Parker was never averaging 16 and 5. How about that?
No, maybe. I don't know.
All right. Over Othick? No, he wouldn't start over Matt Othick. Come on. Yes. Now, anyways, let's see here. Okay, I'm looking at the comments. I don't see anything that I want to comment on. I like Nick Wise, but anyways. All right, now. Going forward, then, Texas Tech. You got to get greedy here. That's what I'm going to keep saying. Because, again, in the out-of-conference schedule, Arizona, as our good pal Kevin Woodman said, whizzed all over itself on the out-of-conference schedule. They did. That's true. So you got to be able to listen. You're now 5-0. Push that to 6-0. Try to look at it because these are winnable games. Try to get to 8-0, and then you look at it and you're like, look at us right now. I don't know. I was gonna say hustle and motivate. That is my reference here. What do you guys say?
I think so. And Texas Tech is going to be tough. They went to overtime against Iowa State. I think a lot of us watched that game.
It's going to be a tough game for sure.
They probably should have won that game in the grand scheme of things. So this is going to be Arizona's toughest challenge, I think, thus far in conference play. So, yeah, you've got to keep your foot on the gas. Going back to what you said with Tommy Lloyd, I think it's interesting because how many times are we sitting here either in March or at the end of the year or even at this point in the season, I think it's some of the earliest where we're sitting here talking about a number of different guys that have just drastically gotten better under Lloyd. And I think what he does is he does a good job of identifying what a guy is good at, and he just hammers that home,
yes.
Right? ADO, keep shooting, man. Keep shooting. Defensively, I know there's some challenges. We're going to try to help you there. You got to be competent at times, but just keep shooting. Somebody like KJ Lewis, crash the glass, get to the glass, get those rebounds, get those turnovers, get those easy shots. And I think that message, just drilling it over and over has really helped these guys. Sean Miller, a totally different coach, right? It's going to be more system.
Sean Miller would have been, we will do exactly what I want to do, no matter if it's working or not. It is more important for me to do what I want to do.
No matter if you're capable of doing it or not, right? Yes. I think Lloyd knows exactly what these players are capable of. He finds that, he identifies it, he builds on it, he drills in it, and that's kind of where we're at with this. I'm not saying some of these players like KJ or ADO are going to become lottery picks or anything like that. KJ, the way he's built, though, I mean, you never know. He's running out of time, but the player development is remarkable. And anybody who says Lloyd is not the guy or has hesitations or has questions, I get it when it comes to tournament wins. At the end of the day, we're Arizona fans. What happens in March is what matters. But at the same time, there's so much work. There's so much coaching and development that leads up to that point, and you can't discount what he's done.
Look, if you want, we've compared Tommy and his relationship to Lute Olson, and there's great similarities in trying to utilize your players to the best of their abilities. Sean Miller is a great system coach who got to Arizona and quit recruiting system players because he to a lesser extent was kind of like Alfred, where it was like, you collect the baseball cards, you just want all the great baseball cards. Well, you need role players. You need more Kevin Params. Alonzo Trier was a tremendously talented basketball player. He didn't fit Miller's system. Conversely, you give Lute Olson 3 bigs, you could create the Tucson skyline. All of a sudden, he has long wings. Great. I'm going to be wing forward university. You give me 3 guards, one who can defend any position. I'll get you to the 94 Final Four. Reggie Gear is a small forward. Tommy Lloyd's more like that. Now, he's not Lute Olson yet, but there's a similar mindset. And that is, I've got this spacer who is really good in the starting lineup. Great. Oh, wait, I've got an unconventional but really talented point guard. Great. I'm going to figure out how to get him in place to be successful. Wait, Henry Vassar has decided to push the NBA talent button. I'm going to get him the ball. So
the NBA or the MNBA talent button?
I'm not playing that game. I'll go Girth with you.
But you're not going. Oh, you'll go Girth with me. Wow, Brad.
I give you one Girth per show.
But you're not going MNBA.
No.
All right. Young Wiz on here asks, is Carter gone after the season? I think we're going to get Carter back. I at least hope they get Carter back. He is showing up on some first-round draft. He is getting
here's what it comes down to. Here's the new thing, though. With NIL money.
Yep.
Do you want to be a fringe first-rounder, or do you want to go collect a big, fat payday to hang out at the U of A and try to become a lottery pick with one more year? I think it's a lot easier to do that now with NIL money, assuming Arizona has enough
girth
in the budget, and then he can get girthy.
Yes, no, exactly. What did you say, Mike? I'll give you my girth, or what did you say? I will not.
I'll give you girth. I'm not giving you.
I will not take girth. You direct that towards Ben One White, not towards me, William Brett Ellis.
I'm not giving you an extra letter in the association's name.
Yes, fine. All right. Yes. Yeah, we do not. Like I said, by the way, how do we give to the Iron Mike Luke Collective? Well, the Super Snap should be up here hopefully any day now because we have now gone through that. Now,
well, technically it's the 15th, so
yeah, no, the 15th. No. Tomorrow we start advertising.
No, it's today, Mike. It's 12:02.
Yeah, it's 12:02. Yeah. Well, I wish I could. I have no. There's no Super. Yeah, there's no. But we start advertising. I am very excited. Yeah, you can buy an ad if you want. Yeah. All right. So, anyways, that Texas Tech game, that's obviously going to be difficult. But I'm also going to keep going back to this as well, is that these games feel different. These games feel, like I said, Baylor was not good. Baylor, let's not pretend here that Baylor was good. But at the same time, that still is a lot different than playing like, whatever bum school that you were playing before. I am excited about that because, again, they have good players out there.
I wasn't in the building, but I wondered how much these new teams coming to McHale help the crowd because 20-something years of mediocre to bad Oregon State basketball. Once Gary Payton and Ralph Miller left.
Remember Dino Tanner? Cool. Remember Dino Tanner?
No.
DeAndre Tanner, the point guard? You don't remember?
Yeah, okay. Yeah. But, the last decade and a half of Cal basketball, no. But, wait, I've never seen UCF in person. I've never,
it's something new.
It's something new and it's fun, yeah.
Right, it's something new. Also, I got to give, and I'm going to take full credit for this. Brent Brennan was at the game today. I give Brent Brennan credit. He did none of this before. He didn't listen to me at all. He's listening to me now. I like it.
Here's what I like about Brennan's Twitter game is A, he's now using it, but B, it's actually him.
Yes.
I'm not sure how many of those Jed Fish tweets were Jed.
Yeah, it didn't matter, though, because he was able to trick people into thinking.
No, but it was all pictures like out the window. It was
Right.
pictures of the tennis venue, not with him. Brennan's taking selfies. He's wearing, he's hanging out.
He's throwing up the Crip sign or whatever the Wildcat thing is.
I think that's
whatever that thing is.
Whatever. Yeah. So again, it maybe took him a year to turn to page 2 of the what I have to do to win over Tucson, and they brought in another D lineman today. It's looking better.
You know what he did though? He took the crash course that a lot of people don't know is out there, but it's out there. The crash course of Mike Luke's social media.
No, I'm telling you, man, I want to help you. I didn't like but again, being out there, it's just easy stuff. That's always what I say too. It's easy stuff, man. But
if you can figure it out, Mike, anybody can figure it out.
Yeah, I'm an idiot. And if I can figure it out, he should be able to figure it out. He's obviously much smarter than me. Okay. On that note, though, we're going to sign off a little bit early today because tomorrow is the grand opening of the advertisements, the reads. If you don't like my sports takes, but you like my reads, tomorrow is for you and for the public.
Hey, Mike, is some girth coming to the Arizona defensive line? Perhaps you're going to talk about tomorrow?
Oh, no, absolutely. Tia Savea coming back. I very much like Tia Savea because at the same time, he left Joe Sumalo. And I think he decided that after Joe Sumalo left, he's like, you know what? I'm going to come back and back the A. It is never too late to come back and back the A. We are very excited about this. Very excited.
Mike, I have to give you some credit. Most people hate commercials.
I love them.
And somehow you've made people long for the commercials.
Yeah, no, it's amazing. I have so many people that have told me they can't wait for the ad reads.
You may be an idiot, but you're clever.
Yeah, no, you know what is but maybe it's one of those things too. It's like when you see like a paralyzed parrot or something, and you're like, well, I don't know if that's a good comparison. Whatever. Where you just like touch it on its head or something, and you're like, I just want to be nice to this and just amuse it or whatever.
So what about the parrot in Dumb and Dumber? That's what I. That's
what I think pretty bird.
Yeah.
Yes. All right. Let's see here. All right. On that note, though, we're gonna sign off a little bit early tomorrow, though. 10:30. Very excited. Woohoo! Wop. All right. B-Dub or B1W.
Sounds like an agent name or something. Like I'm in the Army or an FBI agent or something.
Yeah, I always think of Public Enemy and the S1W. They're marching guys, the security of the first world.
That's where I'm getting that from. There you go.
Yes. All right, and Grant Winkler. Oh, you're going to be hearing more. Yummy in my tummy is my favorite. Yes. We got a lot of food places tomorrow. Lots of yummies coming up. Okay, let's see. Are you the parrot in the story? The paralyzed parrot? Yeah, I think so. I'll just chalk it up. All right, William. Very much appreciate you. You're going to be on with us. Friday. This is true. William Brett Alice. Excellent work. And a massive shout out to Cody James Martin behind the scenes. Cody James Martin I would not be able to do any of this without Cody James Martin. He is the man. I am not. All right. On that note, though, for B1W, a.k.a. Ben One White, the man with the immaculate facial hair, the OG of the sports scene, Mr. William Brad Alice, Cody James Martin, the very intelligent Cody James Martin. I am the paralyzed parrot, Mike Luke. I will be back. We will be back with you tomorrow. TTFN, you've been listening to the AZ12 podcast.